G'day, ladies and gents, and welcome back to War Thunder. Today, we're not going to have a look at a single tank or a single plane. We're going to have a look at a lineup. And this lineup is my 8.3 lineup as it stands currently. Now, I don't have the AOS, and I certainly don't have the T95E1, but they would probably go in the lineup as well. I have the Magark 3, and I do have the M103, but I don't really like it, so I guess I'm keeping the lineup a little bit shorter here. For CAS, we're using the F84G, and for SPAA, we're using the trusty M163. Now, I'm here in my M551, and I've got a nice little camouflage for it. This is the camouflage that came with the, you can call it the Rocket League version of the event, Rocket League event of War Thunder, where for the World Cup, I believe it was, we got to sort of play around in tanks and, play some soccer or football or whatever you want to call it. I really don't care. But it's not a terrible tank. I mean, it's a bit over-tiered. I think it could sit at 8.0 without having to face, T64s. That'd be kind of nice, And it'd also be nice to sort of sit it in line with some of the other ATGM vehicles. I don't really think it's worth 8.3. Even though it can fire on the move, I don't think it's worth it. It's not that great. It's pretty slow. I have got the filters, but I haven't got the engine and the transmission yet. But I'm positive that it's not going to stack up to be an absolute monster. Now, as you can see, I've taken some ATGMs, but I've also taken high explosive shells. Now, I don't think I use these a lot in the match. I mostly stick to the ATGMs, but you can actually get some really nice cheesy shots, and with the Centauro spam, you can deal with Centauros very, very easily, especially now that they've gone through a couple of bug fixes. Now, speaking of which, that takes me back to my previous video on the Centauro. Now, that's kind of a hot topic. It's interesting now that the Centauro has been fixed, that I guess we won't hear any more complaints about it. Let's hope. I guess I don't stand with anyone who makes the complaints about the Centauro from now on. I don't think. I do think it should go up only because it has a stabilizer, but that's about it. But yeah. As you can see, back to the match, we're sitting in the M551 at the spot on the hill, which I might call the Lumber Town. And that there is the woodyard or the lumber yard or whatever you want to call it. And from there, you can actually pull off some pretty interesting flanks. You'll see me pick up a couple of nice kills in a little bit, but for the most part, the M551 really sits to that support role. Having the scouting functionality, and although the scouting functionality I think is pretty garbage, you don't really do anything. And I think if something is in the same spot for a while, or in the same vicinity, I guess maybe the same 10-15 meter radius, it gets spotted. I think it should be marked on the map with full name, like vehicle type, distance, and everything. Simply because I think camping and static or passive behavior at high tier battles should not be encouraged, especially when everyone's extremely fast. So there you go. You can see me pick up an M48A2. These guys, maybe they're camping, maybe they just got there, but I think if I spot them, I would like them to be lit up after this. If I manage to spot them twice, say in the same position or in a similar position, because I really, really would like War Thunder and Gaijin in general to not encourage or to penalize people who play passively. Now, what would this do to tankers like people who like the Ferdinand or the Jagdtiger or the Waffenträger or Su-85s, anything that plays with a non-turreted tank? I think there are better roles for all of these tanks. For example, with the Jagdtiger, you can brawl almost. You can hold down lines. And I think stuff like the Mouse as well, if it's in the open, it's technically being spotted anyway, and people know where the Mouse is. So I don't really see a massive issue with putting a target on its head when it's got one already, and it won't really change anything. One of the things that I really do like about this potential idea, I mean, it's only in sort of early stages, not fully formed. I haven't dug myself in yet. So if there is something that I haven't seen or something that needs or should be changed, do let me know and I can, adjust myself. I'm always happy to do that. But for now, I definitely would like to see something a bit more drastic. Maybe not drastic's the word, but something a bit more active to encourage people to not play so passively. But as you can see, I'm sort of sitting in this spot, and if I got spotted, I would probably be in that situation as well. It would encourage me to move out, it would encourage me to constantly change my position, and so as a result, I wouldn't be able to sit in the same spot. And you'll see later on in the game how sitting in one spot will actually cost us the match. And not me, but someone else. Now that Sherman just... man, I'm still mad about that. He stopped right on the perfect time. And I'm still mad about that. This footage was recorded earlier today, and about 4 hours later, I'm still extremely upset about that. And that just comes to show what kind of a day I've been having. This is probably the best match I've had all day. And it really, really speaks volumes about how my War Thunder career, I suppose, has been going today. So I see that Ariete, he's been tearing it up. He's got something like 3 or 4 kills, and he's dominating that section of the map. And I know I need to take him out, but unfortunately, he slips away. I try to spot the BMP, but Scope says no. I should have gone binoculars and spotted him there, but that's too bad, so sad. Anyway, I look in a little cheeky spot. Now, this is one of the things that I really like about Eastern Europe. Eastern Europe has so many good things going for it. It's probably one of the best maps in the game, if not the best after Small Sinai. So it's got a little spot where you can contest the cap from cheeky angles. And the more cheeky angles, the better. But it limits itself a little bit. So if you have too many cheeky angles, it's not worth holding a cap point, and most people seem to go by that. No one seems to hold capture points in domination. And that's simply because the risk to reward ratio is simply too low. Now, I can see there's a Sherman that's been taken out by the AH-1G, and there's something firing inside in the town, and I see it's a Flak Panzer 341. They're dangerous to me. And so I'm camping bush here. You can see me camping bush, and I see him pass by. I go for the spot, and the spot is exactly what I need to sort of keep him in my sights. Having him there pinged on that minimap is extremely valuable, and you can see just as he pulls up, I'm getting ready to re-engage when he comes out through that building. I get a nice little crit on his driver, his track, his transmission, and the T92 finishes him off. Now, that's really nice and convenient for me and the T92 because we both get to see where the enemy is, but I would like a little bit more reward for it. Now, the M551 is definitely a good vehicle. It's certainly not a bad vehicle, especially when you have the Shillelagh. But it's not nearly as good as vehicles at its battle rating, like, for example, the STB Centauro, Leopard 1, T10M, I guess M60A1, even the Warrior, and even the BMPs, Type 83, Type 89, sorry, I'm thinking, I believe it's the Type 89, it's the one with the IFV. Even the Big Light Panzer at that battle rating is just not, it's just better than the M551 because it has better mobility, has better missile, it doesn't have a stock grind for the missile, and the tank itself can almost fire from behind cover, whereas the Shillelagh on the M551 has to be fired from the barrel. And that puts you at a pretty big disadvantage when it comes to peaking corners, when it comes to cresting ridges, and it just gives you a massive disadvantage. Now, smart old me goes to tunnel vision in on a couple of spots, and I see a ZSU 23 rather. And I can see him peeking that corner, so I'm actually angling my armor against him because he can penetrate my armor. If I don't get the first shot off, I'm pretty much screwed. And there's a Falcon AA who's trying to repair. I need to get him, back up online because the more players, the better. And you can see we're holding on to tickets, but they're starting to push back. And there he goes. He pushes through. I managed to get the missile off, but the Falcon burns to death, and I lose a teammate. That's not really great for me, honestly, and that's pretty much a suboptimal result. And then things start to go from bad to worse. I get towed out of nowhere. This guy is just sitting in a bush, 3 bushes back, doing some weird shit. So, he's got an M113, which means HVAR time. I can penetrate him with HVARs. I can hull break him with HVARs. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do. Now, extra bad news, B starts getting decapped, so I need to make a move fast on that. There is a Bradley heading from the C cap towards the B cap, and I'm thinking if I can clear the way for the Bradley, then I can pretty much, secure our capture point, provided that I manage to kill both of them. So I try and fire off a couple of rockets to spot what's in the B cap. I'm thinking it's the BMP, but I hit the fucking Bradley instead. Out of all things, I hit the goddamn Bradley. And on top of that, I missed the tow. I don't know what to say. I honestly don't know what to say. I have just potentially lost the match for my team in a space of 30 seconds. I've lost control of B on the ground. I've killed a teammate who was trying to prevent the cap. And I missed the guy with rockets who was in a powerful position trying to, deny any advances on B. I've pretty much lost the match for my team right there and then. And there's an IS-3 who's pretty much sealed the capture point. So, yeah, that's pretty much a good summary of how my day has been today. It's been pretty much getting dicked on by everything, including myself. So, never mind. Try and make up for it. I see what I believe to be the M113. I fire some rockets, bit of spam. That should take him out. Nice. Nice and simple. Nice and straightforward. And then I realize I'm out of fuel. Yeah, nice. My fuel leak has pretty much caused me to, lose all power, and I haven't got much energy left. So what I'm trying to do is trying to get around to that IS-3, look for him on the cap and take him out before anyone else comes and dies to him. So I'm looking for that spot. I see him peek. The first house on B. I spam all my rockets. I manage to get him, and I hit the ground. That's pretty shocking, honestly. It's not a great show, and it wasn't a real good move, but, it's the best I could have done, and there wasn't really much else, especially since I put a rocket into that Bradley. Honestly, it's an honest mistake, but obviously I don't condone it, but, accidents happen, and that's just one of the things. You try and be helpful, and it just goes the wrong way. And, that's about the best a bad day can get. Team killing your friendly, and having your whole team lose the control of the map in less than a few minutes. Now, I see an IS-7, and that's a big bad boy. I don't want to deal with that stuff, so I shoot him in the engine. I try and go for some ammo racks, but I can't really get to him, and I go for another shot in order to try and shoot the crew, but the crew is on the other side, and now that I've found out that his breach is out, I thought, you know what, maybe I can take some time with him, set him on fire again, and then I go and load Hesh. Now, this is a bit of a dumb move because the IS-7 has some spaced armor on the side. So there goes one shot, a hit in I believe the side skirts. It's the same on the T10M. So I go a little bit lower and I hit the track and I just think, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to finish him off with Heat FS, and the Vickers MBT comes and takes him, which is fine. But I mean, I would have liked the kill, seeing as though I spent 4 or 5 shells on him. But, he's dead, and that's really all that I care about. Now, this Vickers MBT is about to push ahead of me, and that's a bit of a dumb move, although we are sort of losing map control and we need to push back. But he's just put himself in the line of an AA and a tow. And I can see what I believe to be the tow, and I want his booty because I may still have not killed him. He hasn't died, and it just frustrates me a little bit because I really, really don't like passive behavior. I can't stand it. And that's just one of the things that I just take such detestment towards. So I'll go to try and ruin anyone's day who kills me because they're camping. Maybe not IRL, but certainly in game. And there's a Sidam, and I missed just because I'm great, you know. I mucked that up, and I'm looking for whatever this thing is. I can't really see what it is. I'm pretty sure that that guy is still there, although I'm starting to think now in retrospect that he wasn't. So I'm backing up a little bit. As you can see, the Magach, despite having some Jewish magic, doesn't really have a great reverse speed. Hasn't got that many reverse gears. Probably because the Israelis were all charge, go forward to victory. Maybe. That's just a joke, but you know. Again, some more Jewish magic. I bounced an Object 906. That was probably ERA, him firing heat, and I managed to hull break him, which is really, really nice. The Magach isn't too bad. It's not a bad tank, actually. It sits at 7-7, which means that it can face anything like the T-55 AM1 and the goddamn Leopard L44. But not to worry, there are still ways that you can sort of make it up, and the Magach isn't too bad a tank in general, especially when you're in a down tier. I find that the L7 gun on its own, like anything with an L7 gun just tends to be absolutely fantastic. Like you can see me shred this IS-3. I shoot right next to the driver and I still manage to get the crew on the other side of the tank, which I find kind of remarkable, to be honest, considering that most other shells, even Dart, probably wouldn't penetrate through that much. But here we go. The A cap is being capped, and remember me telling you about passive behavior being not rewarding? Have a look up in the top corner of the map at the lumber yard, where I was early game, and I was absolutely shredding because there were plenty of enemies. Now, there's a Conqueror up there. He's been sitting there all damn game, and there's nothing that he has done that is productive for the team. If he was spotted, I would absolutely love for him to be taken out of the match, because that's 3 or 4 different, shells, maybe 30 seconds, 40 seconds that he'd be out of the map. There'd be sort of, all the attention put onto him, and he'd be dead. And that would potentially give us enough time to maneuver into positions. And as you can see, the tickets run out and the match is over. There's pretty much nothing else I could have done. I mean, of course, I'm partially to blame because I killed the Bradley and missed the tow. But at the same time, it takes 2 to tango. It's a team effort. You win as a team, you lose as a team. And I think if team members were promoted to be more active rather than sort of sit at the back of the map and camp, I would much be more inclined to play tanks and to play more of high-tier combat than I already have. And as you can see, that Bradley is a salty little man calling me a pedophile for some reason. Isn't that lovely? I'm so proud of this community. Anyway, ladies and gents, take care. Hope you're having a better day than me, and I'll catch you next time. Bye.